Conditions affecting pregnant women: gestational diabetes. A pregnant woman sitting in a clinic having her blood sugar checked with a glucose meter. The background shows healthy food options like fruits and vegetables, emphasizing dietary control. Preeclampsia: a pregnant woman lying in a hospital bed looking concerned with an IV drip and blood pressure monitor attached. The scene highlights swelling in her hands and feet with a fetal monitor in the background. Hyperemesis gravidarum: a woman in early pregnancy leaning over a toilet or holding her stomach in pain, showing severe nausea and vomiting. A blue IV drip could be connected to her arm, indicating intervention. Placenta previa: a cross-sectional illustration of a pregnant uterus showing the placenta covering the cervix with a baby in the correct fetal position above the placenta. Intrauterine growth restriction, IUGR: an ultrasound image of a small fetus with growth measurements displayed, showing underdeveloped limbs and body size compared to normal fetal development. Conditions affecting newborns: neonatal jaundice: a newborn baby lying in an incubator under blue phototherapy lights with a yellowish skin tone. The setting is a neonatal care unit with caregivers checking the baby's vitals. Respiratory distress syndrome, RDS: a premature baby connected to oxygen tubes and lying in an incubator surrounded by advanced equipment with a team closely monitoring. Congenital heart disease: an illustration of a newborn's heart, showing structural defects such as a hole in the septum or malformed valves, with arrows highlighting blood flow issues. Neonatal sepsis: a newborn baby in a hospital bassinet hooked to an IV line, with a caregiver gently caring for the infant. Monitors in the background show vital signs. Cleft lip and palate: a close-up of a newborn with a visible cleft lip, with soft lighting and a caring professional holding the baby, emphasizing gentle care. Conditions affecting children: chickenpox: a child with itchy red spots all over the body, particularly on the face and arms. The child is lying on a bed with a thermometer nearby, scratching their skin. Asthma: a child using an inhaler outdoors in a park, with visible discomfort in breathing. The background could show pollen or pollution to indicate asthma triggers. Hand, foot, and mouth disease: a child's hands and feet with visible red spots and blisters, shown in close-up. The child is sitting on a bed with toys scattered around, looking tired. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD: a child sitting at a desk trying to focus on homework, with distractions like scattered toys and a ticking clock in the background, symbolizing inattention. Measles: a child with a red blotchy rash covering their body, sitting on a chair while a caregiver checks them with a stethoscope, emphasizing the response to measles. Conditions affecting teenagers: acne. Vulgaris: a teenage face with prominent pimples and blackheads, particularly on the cheeks, nose, and forehead. The background could show a bathroom mirror with skincare products. Anorexia nervosa: a thin teenage girl standing in front of a mirror looking critically at herself, with visible ribs and a scale nearby, symbolizing unhealthy body image and weight obsession. Adolescent depression: a teenager sitting alone in a dimly lit room staring out a window with a blank expression. Shadows around the room symbolize emotional isolation and sadness. Osgood-Schlatter disease: a teenage athlete rubbing their knee in pain, sitting on a bench after a sports practice. The area below the kneecap is swollen, with visible discomfort on the athlete's face. Scoliosis: an illustration showing a teenager's spine with a noticeable sideways curve, alongside a comparison to a normal spine, highlighting mild to severe curvature. Conditions affecting young adults: anxiety disorder: a young adult sitting on the edge of a bed with their head in their hands, surrounded by shadows or dark swirling clouds representing overwhelming stress. Sexually transmitted infections, STIs: a discrete image showing the genital area with subtle signs of infection such as sores or warts. The scene should be informative without being graphic. Migraines: a young adult holding their head in pain, with red pulsating lines around the forehead to represent intense headaches, and a dimly lit room showing sensitivity to light. Type 1 diabetes: a young adult checking their blood sugar with a glucometer, surrounded by diabetes supplies like an insulin pen or pump in a home or clinic setting. Iron deficiency anemia: a young adult with pale skin and visible fatigue, sitting on a couch yawning with a lack of energy. The background could show an iron-rich food like spinach or red meat to indicate treatment options. Conditions affecting middle-aged adults: hypertension, high blood pressure: a middle-aged person having their blood pressure measured by a professional. The blood pressure monitor shows elevated numbers, and the individual appears concerned. Type 2 diabetes: A middle-aged person in a kitchen checking their blood sugar with a glucometer. Healthy foods like vegetables and whole grains are spread out on the counter, emphasizing lifestyle management. Heart disease. A middle-aged person holding their chest in pain, standing outside near a park bench. An illustration of blocked coronary arteries is overlaid to show the cause of heart pain. Obesity. A middle-aged individual stepping on a scale with a BMI chart in the background showing categories like overweight and obese, emphasizing weight management challenges. Osteoarthritis. A person rubbing their knee or hip in pain while sitting in a chair. The background includes an X-ray of the joint showing worn-out cartilage, highlighting the effects of osteoarthritis. Conditions affecting elderly people. Alzheimer's disease. An elderly person sitting in a chair, holding a photo frame with a distant, confused expression. Behind them, faded images of memories appear, symbolizing memory loss. Parkinson's disease. An elderly person with a slight tremor in their hand while holding a cup, with a cane resting nearby. An illustration of brain neurons with dopamine deficiency could be overlaid. Osteoporosis. An elderly woman with a hunched back, holding her lower back in pain. An X-ray or illustration of porous bones is shown in the background, symbolizing bone fragility. Cataracts. A close-up of an elderly person's eye with a cloudy, grayish lens, indicating visual impairment. The background could be blurry to represent their vision. Arthritis. An elderly person massaging their swollen, stiff hands with visible redness around the knuckles. A diagram of inflamed joints could appear in the background. I am Dr. K.M. Rizal Karim Mukul, dedicated to serving the underprivileged, orphans, the elderly and the weak in our community. At Golgular Moor, Kamarpura, Taragthana, and the Basin Sarak bus stand in Gazipur, I provide comprehensive medical care and medications for disease entirely free of charge. My commitment to humanity drives my practice, ensuring that no one is turned away due to financial constraints. In a world where access to healthcare can often feel like a privilege, I strive to create a reliable institution for the treatment of all ailments. Here is a list of 50 popular diseases or medical conditions covering various categories: skin, sexual health, organs, bones, muscles, tumors, cysts, piles, hair, gastrointestinal, liver, kidney, gallstone, infertility, and more. Skin diseases: psoriasis, eczema, atopic dermatitis, vitiligo, acne vulgaris, rosacea, melasma, seborrheic dermatitis, hives, urticaria, contact dermatitis, skin tags, sexual health, female, polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS. Skin diseases: psoriasis, a close-up of red scaly patches on the elbows and knees with white silvery flakes. Eczema, atopic dermatitis, dry, inflamed patches of skin mostly on the hands and neck with some redness and itching visible. Vitiligo, a person's hands or face with patches of depigmented white skin contrasting with normal skin tones. Acne vulgaris, a teenage face with inflamed red pimples, blackheads and whiteheads primarily on the cheeks and forehead. Rosacea, a person with red flushed cheeks and visible blood vessels, with some small red bumps. Melasma brownish, symmetrical patches on the cheeks, forehead and upper lip of a middle-aged woman. Seborrheic dermatitis, scaly, greasy patches on the scalp and eyebrows with redness and dandruff. Hives, urticaria, raised, itchy welts of various sizes spread across the arms or back with redness around the bumps. Contact dermatitis, a red, itchy rash on a hand that appears after touching an allergen like poison ivy or cleaning products. Skin tags: small, flesh-colored growths around the neck or armpits. Sexual health: female polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS, an ultrasound image showing multiple small cysts on the ovaries. Vaginitis, an abstract medical image highlighting an inflamed vaginal area with a caption explaining symptoms like itching and discharge. Endometriosis, an illustration showing endometrial tissue growing outside the uterus, around the ovaries and fallopian tubes. Pelvic inflammatory disease, PID, an illustration of inflamed fallopian tubes and ovaries with arrows showing the spread of infection. Dyspareunia, painful intercourse, a symbolic image showing discomfort in the pelvic area, represented by a woman holding her lower abdomen with a pained expression. Sexual health, male, erectile dysfunction, ED. A somber image of a middle-aged man looking frustrated while sitting on the edge of a bed, emphasizing emotional impact. Premature ejaculation. A discrete, abstract image showing a clock symbol with an emphasis on time, hinting at premature timing. Prostatitis, an anatomical diagram of the male pelvis, highlighting an inflamed prostate gland. Varicocele, a medical illustration showing enlarged veins within the scrotum, focusing on the spermatic cord. Testicular torsion, an anatomical image showing a twisted spermatic cord. cutting off blood flow to the testicle. Organ diseases, liver cirrhosis, an illustration showing a diseased liver with nodules and scarring. Fatty liver disease, a comparison between a normal liver and a fatty liver, showing fat buildup within liver cells. Hepatitis B/C, a liver with inflammation, surrounded by virus particles, highlighting the damage caused by hepatitis infection. Chronic kidney disease, CKD, an illustration showing damaged kidneys with decreased filtration function, accompanied by swelling in the legs. Gallstones, an ultrasound image of the gallbladder with small, round stones inside. Bone diseases, osteoporosis, a cross-section of a bone showing porous, weakened bone structure with fractures in the background. Rheumatoid arthritis, swollen, deformed joints of the hands with redness and inflammation visible. Osteoarthritis, a joint such as the knee, showing worn-down cartilage with bone grinding against bone. Bone fractures, an X-ray of a broken arm or leg, showing the fracture line clearly. Paget's disease of bone, a cross-section of an enlarged, deformed bone showing abnormal thickening and structure. Muscle diseases, muscle strain, an image of an athlete holding their leg in pain with a strained muscle in the background. Fibromyalgia, a person clutching their neck and back in pain with pressure points highlighted across the body. Muscular dystrophy, an illustration showing weakened muscles in the arms and legs with a person in a wheelchair. Myasthenia gravis, a diagram showing weakened eye muscles and drooping eyelids, with arrows depicting muscle fatigue. Polymyositis, a visual of inflamed muscles, particularly in the shoulders and thighs, highlighting muscle weakness. Breast tumors and cysts, breast cancer, an X-ray of a mammogram showing a tumor mass within the breast. Fibrocystic breast disease, a medical illustration showing fluid-filled cysts within the breast tissue. Breast cysts, an ultrasound image of round dark areas indicating cysts in the breast. Breast fibroadenoma, a diagram of a benign breast tumor showing its distinct non-cancerous nature. Ductal carcinoma in situ, DCIS, a close-up diagram of the milk ducts in the breast showing abnormal cancerous cells inside the duct. Conditions related to size, small penis, small breast. Micropenis, a discrete medical illustration showing a significantly smaller than average penis size, alongside a ruler for comparison. Gynecomastia, in men, an illustration of male breast tissue growth, highlighting hormonal imbalances. Breast hypoplasia, small breasts, a symbolic image of a woman with small breasts, showing underdeveloped breast tissue compared to the average. Penile curvature, Peyronie's disease, a diagram showing a curved penis due to fibrous scar tissue, with arrows indicating the angle of curvature. Hypospadias, a medical illustration showing the urethral opening on the underside of the penis. Piles, hemorrhoids, and related conditions, internal hemorrhoids. A cross-sectional diagram of the rectum, showing swollen veins inside the anus. External hemorrhoids, a close-up of the anus with swollen inflamed veins visible externally. Thrombosed hemorrhoids, a diagram showing a blood clot inside a hemorrhoid with intense swelling and pain illustrated. Anal fissures, a detailed image of a small tear in the lining of the anus with visible redness and discomfort. Rectal prolapse, a medical illustration showing the rectum protruding out of the anus with a focus on weakened pelvic muscles.